The halls of power in Washington, D.C. whisper many secrets. Some are harmless, some are deadly. These corridors have seen countless stories unfold, some of which have shaped the very fabric of our nation. But every so often, a story emerges that shakes the foundations of trust and integrity, leaving us questioning the very people we elect to represent us. This story, it's a doozy. It's a tale that intertwines espionage, politics, and a web of deceit that could rival any Hollywood thriller. The stakes are high, and the implications are far-reaching. It involves a congressman, a suspected spy, and a whole lot of questionable judgment. The kind of judgment that makes you wonder about the decisions being made behind closed doors, and the potential risks to our national security. Buckle up, folks, because we're diving headfirst into the murky depths of the Eric Swalwell scandal. This isn't just another political controversy, it's a story that demands our attention and scrutiny. Eric Swalwell. You might know him as a congressman from California, a man who has built a reputation on being outspoken and ambitious, often seen championing various causes and speaking out on national issues. A familiar face on cable news, he's been a frequent guest on talk shows providing commentary and insights on the political landscape. His media presence has made him a recognizable figure across the country, but behind that polished facade lies a deeply troubling story. A story that raises serious questions about his judgment and the company he keeps. It's a narrative that has the potential to unravel his career and tarnish his legacy. A story that should have every American asking just who is Eric Swalwell and what secrets does he hold? How did he find himself entangled in such a precarious situation, and what does it mean for the rest of us? This isn't about partisan politics, it's not about left or right, Democrat or Republican. It's about something much more significant. It's about the integrity of our elected officials and the security of our nation. This is about national security, the very essence of what keeps our country safe and our democracy intact. When the lines between personal ambition and national interest blur, the consequences can be dire. Our story begins with the suspected Chinese spy, Christine Fang, aka Fang Fang, a woman who, by all appearances, seemed to be just another enthusiastic political supporter. But beneath that exterior lay a much more sinister agenda. Imagine, if you will, a charming young woman navigating the world of political fundraising. She was charismatic, well-connected, and seemed to have a knack for making friends in high places. But her true intentions were far from innocent. She infiltrated Swalwell's inner circle, becoming a fundraising bundler for his 2014 re-election campaign. Red flags, anyone? Her involvement raised eyebrows, but it wasn't until later that the full extent of her activities came to light. But here's the kicker. Swalwell continued his association with Fang even after the FBI warned him about her suspicious activities. Despite the clear warnings, he chose to maintain contact, a decision that would come back to haunt him. This isn't just bad judgment, folks, it's downright reckless, and it gets worse. The deeper we dig, the more we uncover about the extent of Fang's influence and the potential compromises to our national security. This is a story that demands answers and accountability. Picture this, a swanky DC dinner party. The kind of event where the elite gather, dressed to the nines, to sip on the finest wines and discuss matters of great importance. The chandeliers sparkle overhead, casting a warm glow on the polished silverware and crystal glasses. The atmosphere is one of sophistication and exclusivity, a place where power and influence are the main courses on the menu. The air thick with the smell of expensive wine, each glass filled with a vintage that costs more than most people's monthly rent. The clinking of glasses and the murmur of hushed conversations create a symphony of opulence, and even more expensive cologne. The scent of luxury lingers in the air, a mix of designer fragrances that speak of wealth and status. It's a sensory overload of the finest kind. Among the guests, none other than Congressman Eric Swalwell himself, a man known for his sharp political acumen and his role on the House Intelligence Committee. He's here to mingle, to network, to solidify his standing among the power brokers of Washington. But this isn't your typical political hobnobbing. This night the stakes are higher, the conversation's more charged. There's an undercurrent of tension, a sense that something significant is about to unfold. This night Swalwell's true colors allegedly shine through. As the evening progresses and the wine flows more freely, the congressman becomes more animated, more candid. His usual guarded demeanor slips away, replaced by a more unfiltered version of himself. Sources claim Swalwell, fueled by liquid courage, let his guard down. He becomes the life of the party, his laughter louder, his gestures more expansive. It's as if the weight of his responsibilities has been momentarily lifted. He allegedly bragged about his influence on the House Intelligence Committee. His words are filled with a sense of pride, a hint of arrogance. He speaks of his power, his ability to shape decisions, to influence outcomes. He even boasted about using his power to target political opponents. The room listens intently, some with admiration, others with a mix of surprise and concern. This isn't just idle talk, these are serious claims that could have far-reaching implications. Remember those subpoenas to Ivanka Trump? Yeah, about those. But it gets juicier. Swalwell's words hint at a deeper strategy, a calculated move to leverage his position for political gain. It's a revelation that sends ripples through the gathering. Swalwell, a married man with a family, allegedly solicited advice from these new acquaintances on how to cheat on his wife. It's a moment of shocking candor, a glimpse into his personal life that many find unsettling. The room's atmosphere shifts, a mix of disbelief and discomfort. Talk about a lapse in judgment. The congressman's indiscretions are laid bare, his vulnerabilities exposed. It's a stark contrast to the polished image he usually presents. And then, the bombshell. He allegedly divulged sensitive information about his work on the House Intel Committee to lobbyists at a dinner party. This wasn't just gossip. These were details that could potentially compromise national security, shared in a moment of reckless abandon. There's allegedly audio evidence of this shocking display of recklessness, a recording that captures the congressman's words, his tone, his lack of discretion. It's a piece of evidence that could have serious repercussions. This isn't just about a politician behaving badly, it's about the potential fallout from his actions, the trust that has been broken, the questions that now hang in the air. This is about potentially compromising national security. The implications are vast, the consequences potentially severe. It's a reminder of the delicate balance of power and the responsibilities that come with it. The night that began with elegance and sophistication has ended in a firestorm of controversy, leaving everyone to wonder what the future holds. Let's talk about Fang Fang. Was she just an ambitious young woman making her way in Washington, or was she a cunning operative carefully placed to compromise American politicians? The evidence suggests the latter. Fang wasn't just a fundraiser, she was a bundler. Someone who gathers contributions from multiple donors to increase their influence. She targeted up-and-coming politicians like Swalwell, building relationships, and gaining access to sensitive information. The FBI investigation into Fang's activities revealed a disturbing pattern of behavior. She cultivated ties with politicians, attending fundraisers, and even placing interns in their offices. This wasn't just networking, folks. This was a calculated operation by a foreign power to gain influence in the heart of American democracy. Swalwell wasn't the only politician caught in Fang's web. She reportedly targeted several other politicians, including a member of Senator Dianne Feinstein's staff. This wasn't just an isolated incident, it was part of a broader campaign by the Chinese government to infiltrate American politics. Let's be clear, discussing sensitive information with lobbyists, even in a casual setting, is a huge red flag. When you're in a position of power, especially one that involves national security, every word you say and every action you take is under scrutiny. The stakes are incredibly high, and the margin for error is virtually non-existent. Casual conversations can easily be misconstrued or manipulated, leading to unintended consequences that could jeopardize the safety and security of the nation. It's not just about the immediate context of the conversation. It's about the broader implications and the potential for misuse of information. In the world of intelligence and national security, there are no casual settings. Every interaction is a potential risk, and every piece of information shared can have far-reaching consequences. But for a member of the House Intelligence Committee, it's downright dangerous. This committee is tasked with overseeing the nation's intelligence agencies, including the CIA, NSA, and FBI. They are privy to some of the most sensitive and classified information that exists. Their role is to ensure that these agencies operate within the law and effectively protect the country from threats, both foreign and domestic. The responsibility that comes with this position cannot be overstated. It's a role that requires the utmost integrity, discretion, and a deep understanding of the potential consequences of any breach of confidentiality. The information they handle is not just sensitive, it's critical to the nation's security and well-being. This committee has access to some of the nation's most closely guarded secrets. These secrets include intelligence on foreign adversaries, details of covert operations, and information on the nation's defense capabilities. The security of this information is paramount, as any leak or unauthorized disclosure could have devastating consequences. The members of this committee are entrusted with the nation's most valuable and sensitive information, and they must handle it with the highest level of care and responsibility. The potential for harm is immense, and the need for vigilance and discretion is absolute. Information that, in the wrong hands, could put our national security at risk. The consequences of such a breach could range from the exposure of intelligence sources and methods to the compromise of national defense strategies. It could lead to the loss of lives, the failure of critical missions, and the erosion of trust in our intelligence agencies. The ripple effects of a security breach can be far-reaching and long-lasting, affecting not just the immediate targets, but also the broader strategic interests of the nation. The stakes are incredibly high, and the need for vigilance and discretion is paramount. Swalwell's alleged actions at that dinner party weren't just foolish. They were reckless and showed a complete disregard for the responsibilities of his position. Engaging in such behavior undermines the trust that the public places in their elected officials and raises serious questions about his judgment and fitness for office. It's not just about the specific incident, it's about the broader pattern of behavior and the potential implications for national security. The actions of a single individual can have far-reaching consequences, and the need for accountability and responsibility is critical. They were a betrayal of the public trust. The public expects their elected officials to act with integrity and to prioritize the nation's security above all else. When that trust is betrayed, it undermines the very foundation of our democratic system. The actions of one individual can have a ripple effect, eroding public confidence in the institutions that are meant to protect and serve them. The need for accountability and transparency is more important than ever, and the consequences of failing to uphold these principles can be severe. He swore an oath to protect and defend our country. This oath is a solemn promise to uphold the Constitution and to act in the best interests of the nation. It's a commitment to put the country's security and well-being above personal interests and to act with integrity and responsibility. The importance of this oath cannot be overstated, and the need to uphold it is critical to the functioning of our democratic system. When an elected official fails to honor this oath, it raises serious questions about their ability to serve and to fulfill their responsibilities. But his actions suggest a blatant disregard for the seriousness of his position. The role of a member of the House Intelligence Committee is not one to be taken lightly. It requires a deep understanding of the potential consequences of any breach of confidentiality and a commitment to act with the highest level of integrity and responsibility. The actions of an individual in this position can have far-reaching implications, and the need for vigilance and discretion is paramount. The potential for harm is immense, and the need for accountability and responsibility is critical. This isn't just about one night of bad judgment, it's about a pattern of behavior that raises serious questions about his judgment and fitness for office. The actions of an individual in this position can have far-reaching implications, and the need for accountability and responsibility is critical. The potential for harm is immense, and the need for vigilance and discretion is paramount. The consequences of failing to uphold these principles can be severe, and the need for accountability and transparency is more important than ever. It's about a pattern of behavior that suggests a lack of fitness for office. The actions of an individual in this position can have far-reaching implications, and the need for accountability and responsibility is critical. The potential for harm is immense, and the need for vigilance and discretion is paramount. The consequences of failing to uphold these principles can be severe, and the need for accountability and transparency is more important than ever. The actions of one individual can have a ripple effect, eroding public confidence in the institutions that are meant to protect and serve them. Remember, this is the same man who continued his association with Fang Fang even after being warned by the FBI. This raises serious questions about his judgment and his ability to prioritize the nation's security above personal interests. The actions of an individual in this position can have far-reaching implications, and the need for accountability and responsibility is critical. The potential for harm is immense, and the need for vigilance and discretion is paramount. The consequences of failing to uphold these principles can be severe, and the need for accountability and transparency is more important than ever. The potential damage caused by Swalwell's alleged actions is difficult to overstate. The consequences of such a breach could range from the exposure of intelligence sources and methods to the compromise of national defense strategies. It could lead to the loss of lives, the failure of critical missions, and the erosion of trust in our intelligence agencies. The ripple effects of a security breach can be far-reaching and long-lasting, affecting not just the immediate targets but also the broader strategic interests of the nation. The stakes are incredibly high, and the need for vigilance and discretion is paramount. He had access to highly classified information about our intelligence gathering methods, our vulnerabilities, and our ongoing operations. This information is critical to the nation's security and must be protected at all costs. The potential for harm is immense, and the need for vigilance and discretion is paramount. The consequences of failing to uphold these principles can be severe, and the need for accountability and transparency is more important than ever. The actions of an individual in this position can have far-reaching implications, and the need for accountability and responsibility is critical. If even a fraction of that information made its way into the wrong hands, the consequences could be catastrophic. The potential for harm is immense, and the need for vigilance and discretion is paramount. The consequences of failing to uphold these principles can be severe, and the need for accountability and transparency is more important than ever. The actions of an individual in this position can have far-reaching implications, and the need for accountability and responsibility is critical. The stakes are incredibly high, and the need for vigilance and discretion is paramount.